Suns fans are livid at this, as this is absolutely wild, as we're going to be breaking down the unfoldment of the altercation between Jusuf Nurkic, Najee Marshall, as the suspensions and details have been released from Shams Charania following the severe last crazy 24 hours that we have been dealing as Phoenix Suns fans. And we're going to get into all of this and go into what it can mean for the future for the Suns as well. All of that and more on this episode of the Suns Digest. I'm Bruce Velez. And you guys have been absolutely fantastic, showing your love and support, so we've been really appreciative of that. Keep on showing that, as it has been very thankful in the comment section. But without further ado, let's dive into the video at hand. Make sure to grab a snack. And like I said, this is absolutely crazy, and we're going to be talking about some really wild stuff, as we obviously saw in yesterday's performance between the Phoenix Suns and the Dallas Mavericks. Jusuf Nurkic got himself into a little bit of an altercation.
Against
If you want to watch
Gafford.
it here,
Oh
you
my
guys
goodness!
will break it down.
Najee Marshall and Jusuf Nurkic. There probably are going to be a.
But as you guys can see, Jusuf Nurkic slaps Najee Marshall, and then following that slap is then obviously directed and, separated between both officials. And then obviously Nurkic, Marshall were both removed from the game. And now we have some further updates as well onto the matter, as we can see from Shams Charania that center Jusuf Nurkic is going to receive a 3-game suspension, in which forward Najee Marshall is going to receive a 4-game suspension. And you might be asking, why is that the case? As we can see from the video here, Nurkic is the one that instigates it with slapping him. But if we want to read from further reports, we can see that following the on-court incident, Marshall attempted to further engage Nurkic in a hostile manner in the corridor outside the locker rooms. Therefore, that is what that was caused for. And also, the NBA is also going to be suspending Dallas Mavericks forward PJ Washington for 1 game for escalating the on-court altercation as well beyond between Nurkic and Marshall. And for Suns fans, the topic of Nurkic, the kind of discussion around Nurkic has been absolutely been running rampant the last couple weeks. But over the months from the off season, he has been a name of a topic of discussion revolving around trade rumors and what the Suns wanting to upgrade from this team. And after seeing this display in utter performance, I could say that along myself and a lot of other Suns fans are even more pissed off at a player like Jusuf Nurkic for doing stuff like this. We know that the Suns are already depleted without Devin Booker going into this game. We know we want to have the Suns compete against a Mavericks team, which they've had a little bit of a rivalry with the last couple of seasons. With them not having Luka Doncic, it would be a game that you would think the Suns would be able to kind of win and blow out. But unfortunately for the Suns, their defense showed up, but their offense wasn't there. Kevin Durant, 35 points, the only scorer for this Suns team. Royce O'Neal had 14 points off the bench, but besides that, no one was there effectively enough to help the Suns contribute on that offensive side. And you want to know what Jusuf Nurkic decides to do? Instead of wanting to help out the team, instead of wanting to stay in the game and kind of keep control of this matter, he decides to get in Najee Marshall's face and slap him just like that. And that's what I'm saying. These types of actions, these type of displays cannot be happening. And unfortunately, last night I was unable to watch this game live in action as I was busy, but I saw this come live after I was watching the movie, and I was in utter dismay of what I saw. And personally, this is kind of the last straw with me with Jusuf Nurkic and stuff like this, because now ultimately this hinders the team's success and what the direction of the team is, because he can't control his emotions. And for a player hasn't been performing at the levels that any Suns fan has been asking for the contract that he is on, for a player that hasn't been able to stay healthy enough for it to even sustain himself 3 or 4 games without going down without an injury this entire year, including the preseason, is an underwhelming thing for Suns fans. And just to add this domino on top of it, where he's going to be out with a suspension now for 3 games sidelined, it might be a blessing in disguise, as in our previous video yesterday, we broke down how the Suns play better without Jusuf Nurkic on the court. But ultimately, this could just be even harder trade barrier for the Suns to try even trade a player in Jusuf Nurkic, who's already on a bad contract, and a team that already doesn't have enough draft capital to move off of him. And for a player now dealing with some disciplinary actions, obviously, and a suspension here, getting involved with stuff where teams might not be willing to take him on for those reasons. And I think all of those things getting added up is going to show Suns fans how bad a player like Jusuf Nurkic is to have on this team, and why our GM and James Jones, and why our owner and Matt Ishbia needs to get on the phones right now to try to work something to get something done. I am completely shut off by Jusuf Nurkic. We want to look at his stats so far for the season, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take a gander at this. 8.8 points, 9.5 rebounds. I can tell you the Suns can get a center that can average 9.5 rebounds and give you at least half, if not more than half, of the interior production from a player that rebounds half of his skill level. Anyways, he's shooting 30% from the three, 45% from the field. Absolutely atrocious numbers, averaging 2.3 turnovers per game, 3 fouls per game as well, not to forget to mention. On a player that was supposed to come in and be on his best season this year, was supposed to say he felt his best, was supposed to be ready to go for this Suns team, just looks like an utter nutcase and absolutely making himself look even worse of a player by getting involved into actions like that with a player like Najee Marshall not being able to control his motions on the court and not being able to take control of that for this Suns team when they needed him most. Like I mentioned, this team is without Devin Booker. They have no realistic starting capable center with Nurkic on the court or with Nurkic off the court. And going up against a team like the Dallas Mavericks, where Nurkic has been pretty successful versus them this season, he was needed versus this Mavericks team. And of course, he doesn't care. He's just going to get himself ejected into some talk and just want to leave the game. And that's something we cannot have on this Suns roster. Personally, I am absolutely shut off by everything Jusuf Nurkic. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section, how you guys ultimately feel about the situation. But this next part we're going to be getting into is what this means for the Suns, because like I mentioned earlier, if you're Matt Ishbia, if you're James Jones, you have to be trying to get off Jusuf Nurkic. They're already said by Dwayne Rankin to be wanting to shop Nurkic and trying to move him by the deadline. But with this happening, this has obviously got to hinder some things for the Suns as well. And if we want to look at Nurkic's contract, like I mentioned, making $18 million for the next 2 seasons for the Suns on this team after getting struck like that by Najee Marshall. Look at that picture, just absolutely disgraceful. And like I mentioned, player like Jusuf Nurkic here is going to be a hard tradable asset for the Suns to move off of. The Suns do have that 2031 pick and have said that they would like not to use that pick involved in any move unless it is to acquire some superstar type of value, and I think that would be used in a Jimmy Butler deal. But ultimately, even if that was the case, that is still a long stretch, and would they even use it to dump a contract like Jusuf Nurkic? I feel like that's even more of a stretch to ask for with this Suns team. And that's what makes it very difficult, because the Suns not only need a starting center, but desperately need that starting center. They desperately need someone that's going to be bought in into playing that role for this team. And guys like Oso Ighodaro are young enough, have that potential to grow to be that type of player for this team, but haven't hit that mark. And Plumlee is just a little too old at this moment to be playing those consistent minutes. He could be a solid or a decent backup, possibly best at a third big at this moment, some spotty minutes at a backup. But truly, this Suns team does need some interior presence. And a player like Jusuf Nurkic is now going to be sidelined and suspended. And I can understand where Suns feel with all of this. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section, how you guys ultimately feel about all this news. I personally want to know how you guys are thinking, because I think this is just outrageous type of stuff to be happening, especially with a Suns team that has been going through some rocky stuff throughout the season with a player like Jusuf Nurkic, who once again has been dealing with injuries throughout the year, has yet to be consistent for this Suns team even when on the court, and now he's getting into some stuff off on the court that is going to be hindering himself to be able to be a tradable asset or even help out the Suns to get better. It just makes me sick. Unfortunately, for a player and for this Suns team, it's something they're going to have to deal with. And let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section, how you guys ultimately feel. The Suns looking to bounce back in their game tonight. I don't know if I'll have a post-game covered for you guys. If I don't have a post-game covered, I'll have something going up tomorrow to break down some more Suns stuff for all you guys. But I wanted to let you know and kind of get on this Jusuf Nurkic news, as a lot of Suns fans are going to be talking about it. A lot of NBA places are going to be talking about it. Realistically, Najee Marshall for getting 4 games as well, for getting 1 game more suspended for Nurkic when Nurkic threw the first punch is kind of crazy, but he did instigate it outside, so that does make sense. But ultimately, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section, how you guys ultimately feel about this Suns news. And if you guys are not a part of the 70% of guys that watch our videos that are not subscribed, make sure to hit that subscribe button to help us get into the Suns algorithm, get us to 2,000 subscribers, and help out our daily intake. Once again, you guys have been absolutely fantastic, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a great rest of your day. Peace out, and go Phoenix Suns.